Someone on this list asked the Swiss government to make their house legally disappear from every public database in the country, while another one has spent 10 years renting despite earning $100 million a year. And one driver owns a house the entire sport wishes he still lived in. This is the F1 driver house tier list. George Russell. George Russell moved to Monaco in 2023. He lives in an apartment. It has walls, presumably a floor, and a view of other rich people's apartments. George Russell has not elaborated further, and neither will we. C tier. Carlos Sainz. Every single Formula One driver lives in Monaco. Tax-free, zero income tax, zero wealth tax, Mediterranean weather, and a casino 10 minutes away. Every driver looks at this and says yes immediately, except Carlos Sainz. He lives in Madrid. His family is there. His friends are there. He grew up there. And as a result, he pays millions of euros to the Spanish government in taxes every single year. The same taxes that every other driver on this grid legally avoids by simply renting a flat in a small principality on the French Riviera. He does own a Monaco apartment. He just doesn't live in it. And here's the part that makes no sense. Because Carlos Sainz drives a Formula One car at 200 miles per hour for a living. He takes risks for breakfast. But when it comes to his taxes, he pays every single cent, voluntarily. F tier by grid standards, but probably the most psychologically stable person in this video. Lando Norris. In 2022, Lando Norris finally made the move. He posted a photo of his new Monaco apartment with the caption, "Say hello to my new home." The apartment had bare concrete walls, exposed wiring, and a construction site with curtains. He called it his mansion. He also called it his small apartment with a nice view, both descriptions in the same week. The apartment does have seaside views, a private gym, and state-of-the-art security. It also has, somewhere underneath the rubble, a floor. But here's what makes it worse. At some point during the renovation process, Norris decided one unfinished home wasn't enough and bought a £16 million glass-walled penthouse in central London. Because if you're going to have two homes you can't live in, you might as well commit to it. B tier. Daniel Ricciardo. In 2024, photos emerged of a house in Dubai. On the roof of this house, a large metal statue, frozen mid-leap, recreating a famous moment from the Monaco Grand Prix. Multiple outlets ran the story. Fox News reported it as fact. The internet had one question: who builds a monument to a racing driver on their own roof? And then it got stranger, because the answer was not the racing driver. The house belonged to someone else entirely. A stranger in Dubai, apparently a fan, had constructed a life-size tribute statue to Daniel Ricciardo and installed it on their roof without telling him. Ricciardo's response was immediate. "It's a shame people think this is what I would do. It's very vain. It's very silly. But no, it is not my house." Someone built a shrine to him, and he found it offensive. For the record, Ricciardo's actual property portfolio is an $8.75 million Beverly Hills mansion previously owned by Hollywood actress Denise Richards. 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, infinity pool with panoramic LA views, a farm near Perth, Australia with an Olympic-sized swimming pool and an underground garage, and a Monaco apartment, because that's just F1 admin. A tier. The man has taste. He just doesn't want anyone erecting monuments to it. Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc was born in Monaco, not moved to Monaco for tax reasons, actually born there. He grew up 5 minutes from the circuit that now carries his name after he won it. His apartment is modern, minimal, very Monaco. In the corner, a grand piano. Because being one of the best racing drivers on the planet apparently wasn't a complete enough personality, so he added concert pianist and released his own album. In 2023, his home address leaked online. Fans showed up at the building. They rang the bell. They asked for selfies. They waited outside. And here's how bad it got. Leclerc was forced to release a public statement. "While I'm always happy to be there for you, please respect my privacy and refrain from coming to my house." Charles Leclerc, Ferrari driver, Monaco Grand Prix winner, musician, couldn't get to his own piano because strangers were camped at the front door. He then bought a waterfront apartment in Miami's Edition Residences, a 649-foot glass tower with, and this is real, a private racing simulator built into the building's amenities. He moves in 2027. Charles Leclerc selected a new home the same way normal people pick a gym, except the gym is a racetrack, and the building costs $40 million. Monaco apartment with a grand piano. Miami penthouse with a simulator. Fans who know the postcode of both. A tier. Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel is worth approximately $140 million. With $140 million and a desire to live sustainably, most people would buy something understated. Vettel bought a $7 million farmhouse cottage in northeastern Switzerland. 4 bedrooms, a small theater, secluded grounds. His wife confirmed he cannot last more than a week in anywhere glitzier, like Monaco or Dubai. A man worth $140 million chose the agricultural option. But here's the part that makes it art. Vettel contacted the canton of Thurgau, the local Swiss government, and asked them to delete his address from the online land registry. He wanted his house to be legally unfindable. They agreed. Sebastian Vettel has a farmhouse in Switzerland that officially does not exist in any public database. And behind this legally invisible farmhouse, he parked a Red Bull-branded personal helicopter. When he later appeared on a UK political talk show discussing the cost of living crisis, someone tweeted a photo of the helicopter and the farmhouse with the caption, "Is this the right setting for this conversation?" Vettel's response was, presumably, to go tend to his bees. B tier. This is not an insult. This is the correct tier for a man who erased his address from government records and then left a helicopter in the garden. Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso has been a Formula One driver since 2001. In that time, he has accumulated a corresponding property situation. Monaco, his tax base. Lorenzo, the same exclusive building as Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. 3 world champions in one postcode, the Monaco Grand Prix circuit running directly beneath their windows. Switzerland, a Lakeview residence in Lugano, acquired during his Ferrari years so he could reduce his commute to the Maranello factory. Alonso once relocated his entire Swiss residence to save time on the drive to work. He is not normal. Dubai, an apartment in the 52-story Le Rêve Tower, because Monaco and Switzerland weren't providing enough variety. But none of that is the real story. The real story is Oviedo. His €10 million estate in Asturias, northern Spain, his home region, has a swimming pool, a spa, a private cinema, and a full go-kart track. A go-kart track he built so he can practice between races. Fernando Alonso, a man who has spent 24 years racing at the absolute peak of world motorsport, goes home between Grands Prix and drives go-karts around his garden for fun. And then it gets even better. On the land directly next to his property, not nearby, directly adjacent, is the Fernando Alonso Museum, a museum about himself that he built next to his house. Fernando Alonso constructed a home, installed a racetrack, and opened a monument to his own career on the property line. He is 43. He is still racing. The museum is not premature. He just started early. A tier. Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen has won 4 consecutive Formula One World Championships. He has been renting in Monaco since 2015, $17,000 a month, for 10 years. That is approximately $2 million in rent on a property he could have purchased outright on day 3 of his first Red Bull contract. And he didn't. In 2025, he upgraded. He moved into Lorenzo, the same Maritera complex as Leclerc and Alonso. And then something happened that puts all of this into perspective. Shortly after Verstappen moved in, one apartment in Lorenzo sold for €471 million, the most expensive home sale ever recorded in history. The buyer was Ukrainian billionaire Rinat Akhmetov. 21 rooms, 5 floors, a private pool, 8 parking spaces. Max Verstappen is the best driver on the planet. Moved into a building, watched his neighbors spend nearly €500 million on the flat upstairs, and still hasn't bought anything. He did eventually purchase land in Portugal, a luxury development with a championship golf course and a spa, presumably for when he's ready to acknowledge that renting since age 17 is no longer a personality trait. S tier for the life philosophy, B tier for the real estate. We're calling it A tier and moving on. Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton's property portfolio is not a list. It is a condition. Monaco, an £11 million mansion in Fontvieille, where he primarily lives when he is not in any of the following. London, an £18.2 million Victorian mansion in Kensington, purchased in 2017 from the former creative director of Burberry. Built in 1860, 4 stories, 4 reception rooms, a 200-foot garden with a summer house, a piece of actual London architectural history, owned by a man who then complained to his neighbors about their tree blocking his garden light. The neighbors disputed this, a formal disagreement about a garden tree between people who own multiple mansions. It went on for years. New York, a 3-floor, 8,900 square foot Tribeca penthouse purchased for £34 million. He sold it, then bought another New York property, this one with a squash court, because apparently the first one had the wrong sport. Geneva, a 3-bedroom apartment for the times Monaco, London, and New York are all somehow inconvenient. Colorado, a ranch. Lewis Hamilton owns a ranch in Colorado. Milan. In 2025, following his move to Ferrari, Hamilton acquired a luxury apartment in Porta Nuova before his first race for the team. He assessed properties in Modena and Bologna, evaluated both cities, and chose Milan. Milan is also where Kim Kardashian has been spending considerable time, following reports of a romantic connection. Lewis Hamilton is 41, co-producing a film with Brad Pitt, invested in an NFL franchise, driving for Ferrari, and is possibly dating a Kardashian. This is not a real estate portfolio. Lewis literally built a whole civilization that happens to include a garden dispute. S tier. Michael Schumacher. In 2002, Michael Schumacher bought an estate on the shores of Lake Geneva in the Swiss town of Gland. Locals came to call it Schumacherland. 3 buildings. The main house, where he lived with his wife Karina and their children Mick and Gina Maria, looking directly out over the water. A guest house, a private office with books, models, career memorabilia, and a 10-cylinder Ferrari racing car from his 5 consecutive championship seasons kept inside. He won 7 titles. He changed the sport. He redefined what it meant to compete at that level. For a generation of fans, he was Formula One. In December 2013, while skiing in the French Alps near Maribel, Michael Schumacher suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. He has been in private medical care ever since. His wife Karina has maintained almost complete silence for over a decade, protecting their family with a dignity this sport has not always deserved. The Lake Geneva estate was later listed for sale at 58.7 million euros. The family relocated to a property in Mallorca. Schumacherland is no longer his, but for anyone who watched those red cars dominate an era of this sport, it always will be. God tier. Not for the property, for the man who lived there. If you like tier lists, subscribe.